Hello and welcome. Today I have another installment of Feature Friday, but before I get into that I would like to talk about the upcoming EU versus NA community contributor match. It's going to happen on the 8th of October, but I'm not really going to go all that much into it. I'll put the link in the description and on the screen to a video of, I believe it's Jingles, that talks about it. If it wasn't Jingles, then it'll be somebody else that you probably know about. So anyways, I know that it's not actually Friday, but kind of forgot about it on Friday, and on Saturday I had something better to do, in terms of a video. Anyways, I have a match by Reyte today, who is an incredibly good carrier player. Much better than I am. I am definitely certain that he is one of the best in the world. He is playing in the Tier 8 Japanese aircraft carrier, the Shokaku, and it's a match on Land of Fire, and it is a match from Dispatch. He launched dive bombers first, fighter second, and torpedo bombers third. I'm not sure if it was actually intentional. Because of the changes to the patch, what happened is that torpedo armament expertise for some reason improves dive bomber loading rather than torpedo bombers like it should. So he spots enemy fighters of the enemy Shoukaku, but he does a strafe immediately, but the enemy Shokaku pulls back. I think it makes sense for the enemy Shokaku to do this, because he doesn't have air supremacy, so he's one fighter down, although now he's, for some reason, engaging head-on, which was incredibly silly, because that just killed those fighters. And now Reyte engages the other squadron, and the enemy should lose that fight. There is little reason to really pay much attention to it. So now it's time for Reyte to go strike something. Usually you have a destroyer going for B or at least C, so that's probably what he wanted to strike, but it appears that such a thing didn't happen, so Reyte is gonna go look for another strike, or something else to kill, essentially. So it seems that he wants to go for this Tirpitz, judging by where these dive bombers are. But there is a Pepsi next to it, and the Pepsi just used defensive fire, so he has to pull these torpedo bombers, dive bombers back. He also pulled his torpedo bombers here for some reason, I'm not sure why. And his remaining fighters are going to, use their remaining ammunition on this torpedo bomber squadron. Okay, now now the fighters will recycle. That will mean that he'll be up again, but I believe the enemy fighters will recycle faster, so he has to do his strike relatively soon. This Pepsi's defensive fire has gone off, so now it's time to strike with the dive bombers. 2 fires out of 3 bomb hits. That's some good RNG. So the Pepsi seems to have used damage control party, so it's time for the second squadron to come in. He leaves the first one around so that it takes the aggro of the float plane fighter. And this 7th squadron, I don't understand. How are they not dying? There's so much AA shooting them, but they're not dying. And this one squadron, torpedo squadron, is dropping on the Pepsi. And it seems that he's gonna pull this other one for the Fubuki. Fubuki that's taking damage. I don't understand. Like, the Fubuki could turn pretty much... Like, if the Fubuki kept turning, she would have not really taken any torps here. Yet she takes 1 for no reason. And the Pepsi died, and the Fubuki died to the flooding tick, I believe. And that's a double strike. That's quite incredible. I can't believe that Fubuki just took those torpedoes like that. That made no sense. Like, if the Fubuki had kept turning, the torpedo bombers wouldn't have been able to do anything to her. Those torps would have all missed. Like, if you die to 1 squadron of torpedo bombers, you probably screwed up quite hard. Okay, so, at this point, both teams have lost 1 cruiser and 1 destroyer. I actually believe that Reyte's team has lost more, because they lost a Benson. The enemy team lost a Fubuki, which is worth a lot less than what a Benson is. So now he brought his fighters to the middle of the map because he doesn't know what the enemies are doing again, so it's probably a good idea to try to, I don't know, keep the planes in a position where they can react to anything. Also, I found that interesting. When I clicked the middle mouse button, it jumped into the squadron view, but I couldn't go out from it. Okay, so torpedo bombers are over here, so Reyte pulls his fighters into the A direction. His dive bombers will keep going towards C, probably to deal with the enemy destroyer that's near C, and will probably try to cap it. Okay, he rerouted his dive bombers towards this Amagi here. I believe that is a very good strike choice, because the Amagi is alone. And I think Reyte might want to just essentially try to kill these torpedo bombers so that the enemy Shokaku doesn't have as many replacements. But it seems he decided otherwise. I don't quite know why. Maybe it was an error. Like, it did look because he re-engaged those torpedo bombers, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I believe this attacker is going to die a very miserable death for no real reason. And Reyte seems to be pulling his dive bombers over, well, one of them, towards the Amagi. Okay, both of them. He wants them to be in a line so that if he sets a manual dive bomber target like this, they look, one hit, it's at the front, but the other one hits, but it's more towards the back, so you have a higher chance of causing more fires. Okay, here are the enemy fighters. And wow, they even lost one plane. So this engagement with Reyte's fighters at some point that's gonna come here shouldn't go very well. Yamagi seems to have used damage control party, so it's now time for the torpedo bombers to strike. If the torpedo bombers can get the flooding, that's going to be massive damage, because, you know, the Yamagi used his damage control party, and flooding lasts for a very long time. Okay, so, is it doing a strafe on these clumped up fighters? Wow. Sorry, but enemy carrier, you just screwed up so hard. You just lost all your fighters for pretty much nothing. Okay, another strafe, so his fighters are now going to recycle. I don't... like, are these guys following these torpedo bombers? It seems so. Okay, well, whatever, I guess. Yeah, he lost more fighters, and this Amagi is definitely flooding out. He probably is gonna dodge these and these torpedoes, but he should die to the flooding. So, now it's time. Now the dive bombers have recycled, and no, those fighters have not recycled. But since they have so much ammunition, it's okay to use them. Okay, the Amagi is still flooding out. This New Mexico might be the next new target. I believe it would make sense, because this Amagi should burn out. I mean, sorry, flood out. Although it might not happen though, so who knows? Who knows? But this Fubuki is shooting Yamagi for some reason. It makes no real sense. Okay, I guess whatever. Yamagi flooded out as expected, so he's gonna pull one dive bomber over here for this New Mexico. These fighters are going to try to interrupt though, and it seems Reyte is pulling his strike planes back to deal with the fighters with his own fighters. I don't know if that makes sense though, because the enemy fighters... okay, if he gets a strafe, then yeah, it makes absolute sense. I just wanted to say that I'm not sure if it makes sense, because the second fighter squadron by the enemy should be around as well, but it didn't happen. So he's gonna dive bomb with only one squadron at once, and wow, the Yamagi uses a scout plane instead of a fighter plane. And he got 3 fires. That is so unlucky by the New Mexico. He definitely should damage control party this, and after that point there's gonna be a torpedo bomber and dive bomber strike, and the enemy fighters are gonna get intercepted by Reyte's fighters as well. The New Mexico still hasn't used the Damekon though, even though he has 3 fires going. Like, this is a situation where you definitely need to use Damekon. I mean, your positioning is kinda poor, and that's why you're gonna die, because you don't have anybody around you. I guess all the allies died off, although this guy is over here. He could have been next to him. And I believe the New Mexico has used Damekon by now, which is at a really odd point. Maybe he didn't have it available. Really long range drop, but it seems to be very on point, and I like it a lot. And this dive bomber squadron should follow up. I do wonder if he has used Damekon earlier, or... It seems to be that he's going to be flooding from this. So I believe it would be wise, maybe actually not, because this New Mexico, if he used Damekon earlier, then this New Mexico should flood out. Right now he's using heal, so he's flooding really slowly, because the heal counteracts the flooding, but eventually that's going to not happen. Okay, so wow, this dive bomber squadron has actually recycled already. So maybe it's a good idea to use one of the dive bombers on this New Mexico? Maybe. Maybe not though, who knows. It's still a very close match, so it's hard to tell. Like, it seems like I would think that Reyte's team is going to win, but maybe not. He got Witherer off this New Mexico. This New Mexico... Yeah, actually I think hitting this New Mexico is kind of pointless, because the New Mexico should flood out. Okay, there's an enemy Tirpitz here. I just don't understand why the enemies are going all alone, and none of them are grouping up. That makes like no real sense in my opinion. Okay, so this Tirpitz seems to be the new target, and is this like a backup for the New Mexico? Nope, apparently not. Liquidator got. This is a bit unfortunate that the Shoukaku is next to the Tirpitz. This means that the Shokaku might use her anti-air ability, but it seems that he doesn't give a damn about this Tirpitz. Sorry Tirpitz, I guess bad luck for you. I was thinking that it might be a good plan to try to take out the or trigger the anti-air ability of the Shokaku, but she doesn't seem to want to bite. Maybe she'll bite with these torpedo bombers that are striking the Tirpitz. And the one... Okay, so the Tirpitz has used this Damekon, so this... If this gets a fire or flooding, this should flood out the Tirpitz. That is, it won't kill it, but it'll do massive damage. It might kill it, but probably not gonna happen. The Tirpitz should survive at some low HP. Oh wow, and the and they hit the Shokaku. Come on Shokaku, you could have just used your anti-air ability, negated a whole bunch of damage on this Tirpitz, and not taken any damage from that yourself. That's such a big screw up by the Shokaku in my opinion. Like, he definitely let his team down with this one. Sure, I can understand not having air supremacy on the Shokaku and not being able to, you know, play as good as Reyte, but all you had to do was press one button, and these torpedoes look very on point. They would have definitely flooded out the Tirpitz though, I think, if these torps hadn't hit. And I believe Reyte was rather salty about this Fubuki. Due to something. Okay, so I wonder, okay, the Shokaku is dead, and it's the Fubuki that got the kill. And what's gonna take the kill in the Tirpitz? And it's the Fubuki again, wow. Oh well, I guess this is what Reyte was salty about, because the Fubuki got both of the kills. Even though it was kind of unnecessary, but I mean, it's understandable from the Fubuki's point of view. Still, I can also understand this problem from Reyte's point of view. I guess it does happen. He definitely would have got at least one other liquidator from this. Oh well, it is what it is. They still won the game, and I believe Reyte did quite a bit this match. Just a tad bit more than, you know, you would expect from a carrier. the results are definitely amazing. This is the kind of thing I expect from Reyte, of course. It's from this weekend, as you can tell, literally from yesterday, and he did 255,000 damage in a Shokaku, 20 torpedo hits, 22 dive bomber hits, 41 planes shot down. He definitely outplayed the enemy Shokaku. Even if you think about the fact that the enemy Shokaku didn't have air supremacy, I believe that Reyte still outplayed him by a lot. And he got Liquidator, Confederate, Witherer, Devastating Strike, High Caliber, and a Double Strike. He would have got more Liquidators, and probably a Kraken Unleashed if the Fubuki hadn't intervened, but I guess you can't have all of them. Only 11 fires from 22 bomb hits, that seems a bit on the low side though. So I guess you can't be lucky with everything. And with this amazing of a result, 255,000 damage, he made 350,000 credits. In the team score panel, what? What is this BS? What? How does he only have 2,317 base experience? When he did 255,000 damage, he shot down 41 planes. This is... what? What kind of a result do you have to get over 2,500 experience, or even over 3,000 experience? Jesus Christ, Wargaming, what the hell did you do with this patch? Oh well, I guess, I mean, the Fubuki got 1,900 experience. Wow. I expected a lot more experience than this. A lot more. And in the detailed report, you can see that 143,000 damage was through bombs and torpedoes, and another 112,000, almost double Witherer, was through fires and floodings were actually the larger portion of the damage. He didn't do all that much spotting, but he shot down quite many fighters, dive bombers and torpedo bombers of the enemy. And, I mean, he shot down more planes than he actually lost himself. That is something that doesn't happen often because, you know, there are other factors that shoot down your planes other than the enemy CV. He mostly hit... I guess no, actually he hit his own tier targets mostly. Fubuki, Tirpitz, Amagi, Shokaku, they're all tier 8. So it's really odd that he only got 2,300 base experience. Huh. And in the credits panel you can see that he made a profit of 220,000 credits. But you have to remember that this is with premium. And he might have some flags in play there as well. It's hard to tell. So, I mean, that's really, really surprising that, you know, you only make 220,000 profit with this kind of a match. That's really weird. Because, like, if you get results like this, the cost, the higher tier you get, scales up a lot, but the income apparently doesn't. So that seems really odd. But look at that. He is already 6 million experience into the 19th point on the captain of this ship. So only, like, he is more than halfway there. He only has 4 million experience to go, and at that point he will get the 19-point captain. So best of luck to you, Reyte, and thank you very much for sending it in. I would gladly show more replays of you because you're very good at carriers. And, I mean, people kind of like seeing very good carrier play. Although, of course, because there are replays, it's a bit different because replays don't show carrier play quite as nicely as actual gameplay that's recorded. But anyways, thank you very much for sending it in, and I would like to thank the Patreons on Patreon now. You guys help the channel keep going, and today we'll thank Daniel Paquin. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I see you guys next time.